Good morning. Happy Thursday. I have Neuro Coffee in hand and it is perfect. All right, we are back after a 1-week hiatus.
But being that humans don't know that, you give me that look. Being that humans don't know what we don't know, what are your safety mechanisms to ensure that your inadvertent biases don't defend your model against its own evolution?
So I actually posted a video about this, I believe,
Oh,
quite a while back.
uh-huh.
Somebody asked me a similar question, and
Mm-hmm.
I am the interference to everything that I do. So I'm at least I'm
Mm-hmm.
aware of that. But being human, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be fallible.
I see.
So that helps right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
One of the um, anybody that I've talked to on a long duration kind of a situation, whether it be mentorship or whether it be friends or colleagues or whatever, they
Mm-hmm.
know that I will state this frequently, is that my greatest concern is that my bias is way too strong.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing that I try to do on a regular basis is, one, I don't consume content. I look for sources that would be in conflict, because when you start to feel confident about something, and your lens kind of gets a little bit too narrow, it's too easy to fit everything into the existing story.
Mm-hmm.
And so you part of the time that you spend um, consuming information, and not content, not other people's content, but information, like original source stuff, is to see what else is available, so you can make the comparison between what you think you know and then what has been expressed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the ultimate uh, representation of what is your experience as you
Mm-hmm.
interact with other people, as you apply, and that's going to be the best answer as to whether you're on the right path or not.
Because I mean, as it's so easy, even for me, to feel like I have something right, and it
Yeah.
feels good all the
Right.
time. Like I
Okay.
put it together. Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to give everybody a book. Hang on. On Being Certain. There you go. It's
Being
by
certain.
Robert Burton. Yeah, it's a really good book. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a great deal. Um, so yeah, so that's the thing. It's like that's one of those places where your confidence kind of comes from. It's like this feeling, but I encourage everyone to challenge it whenever you can, because like I said, the thing that we do is, nobody likes to be wrong. It's uncomfortable to be wrong, but it's important to be wrong sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Safely be wrong, right? Don't compromise someone else's safety or your own. So
Thank
anyway,
you.
it's like awareness has a lot to do with it, Jordan. I think that the more aware you are, um, and to never get so confident, to not let your ego go unchecked. Ego is a very powerful tool. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
useful tool. It allows you to do many great things, but left unchecked leads to arrogance, and then that's dangerous.
Basically, the difference between the implicit knowledge that you have versus what you're showing everyone else, like, and then what you're also showing yourself, what you write down. Because if it didn't click initially, you probably wouldn't have brought it on board, like included it in the model. So is
Right. So everything is sort of road tested, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So my thought on that was, you're sharing this for everyone else to call BS on what you're seeing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Talk about the best check and balance system in the whole world, right? Hang your ass out there and then have people tell you that you're FOS, right? Yeah. Yeah. So it's part of it, right? Well, you think I do this for my own good? Right. No, it's like you can't you it is the best filtering system is to offer things up, have other people test it for you, and then come back and say, but what about this? But what about this? But what about this? Because there's questions that I cannot ask myself. Like I wouldn't even fathom some of the questions that they get asked, but they become so useful because they offer me an opportunity to clarify it in my own head, and then I can be even more clear when I'm expressing it to someone else. Because the greatest challenge that you have, especially in this type of an industry, is expressing the tacit information. So because you can't, right? That's why it's tacit information. So anything that you read or hear or see on the internet is explicit information, which means that it can be expressed. The tacit is an experiential level of information and understanding. That's the hardest thing to pass on, because so you were an intern. It's like, so what you gained by being an intern was the tacit element, the experiential element, because we can talk to you every day about this is what a split squat's supposed to look like, and until you do it, and until you see it, until you coach it, until you screw it up a million times, you don't really understand it, right? And so as I get better at expressing things, and people are utilizing this information, and then the information comes back, so they're offering me, like I said, a better way to express myself.
You once referred to the vastus medialis as a knee external rotator.
Yes, sir.
And I was wondering how that works. I just never thought of it that way. You know, like I think in the same sentence you say, you know, most people think of the quads as just knee extensors.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So stick the foot to the ground first and foremost, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now what you also need to understand is, okay, where does the VM attach to the femur? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then where does it attach to the tibia?
Mm-hmm.
Which it kind of doesn't, just for the record. Vastus medialis is, I think, is a grossly understood muscle. It's actually not one muscle. It's probably a minimum of 3. But point being is, based on where the attachment sites are, based on the direction of the pull that's created. So do you have an anatomy app, Manuel?
I do not.
Okay, so here's what I would do is either you got to have a book that shows the vastus medialis in isolation. But anatomy apps do it really well, because you can literally select out one muscle and see how it's attached to its bony attachments. If you look at VM, the way it's attached to the femur, and then you follow the attachment where the VM attaches to the quad tendon and the patella, and then that attaches to the tibia, you will see that if I anchor the foot to the ground and that muscle contracts, it actually twists the femur into ER. From the knee up, okay? It'll turn it from the knee up, and it turns it outward, which is external rotation. And if you want to get really in depth, the VL would be the opposing muscle. It would turn it inward. Cool.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen independently, right? Like it happens in coordination with the rest of the quads, right? There's no way
you hope so. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Paul, you win the last question of the day.
It's about your archetypes. Can you just maybe list some of the archetypes in your minds that guide your thought processes?
I have 2.
Okay.
There's 2 extremes. Okay, you have one that's biased towards expansion. You have one that's biased towards compression, because those are the only 2 strategies that exist. Okay. So the wide ISA archetype is someone that is biased towards a compressive strategy by structure. The narrow ISA archetype is someone that is biased towards an inhalation biased strategy because of their physical structure. Because the goal is to maintain position against gravity, right? So there's only 2 ways I can do it. I can squeeze myself, right? And I can compress it, and I make myself rigid. And so anything that tries to push me down, I push back against because I'm rigid. Or I'm the wacky wavy tube guy, and I fill up with air, and then that holds me up. So then the structure determines the strategy, because that's the constraint. It tells me what you're capable of, right? And so you'll just be biased in that direction. Doesn't mean you can't do both. Doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that wide ISAs never expand. It's just that they're not as good at it as other people. And then again, I have to speak from my experience, because I see the extremes. I get to see them, right? I don't see average people. Average people don't have problems because they don't do things. They're not good at anything. They're kind of okay at a lot of stuff, right? And I will tell my average story. So they live average lives. They marry an average spouse. They have 2 average kids. They live in an average neighborhood. They have an average house. They live to be 78 to 82 years old. They live an average life, and they're very, very happy that way. But they don't get hurt. They don't perform well because they're just average.
So one thing that's a little confusing is when you say somebody who's got a wide ISA is a compressed individual, because
Yes.
that makes me think wide ISA makes me think of a blown up individual wide, like
that's their compensation. So let's go back to Grace's question. Grace could probably answer this question if she could probably do it now, right? Because we just talked about it. So if I have somebody that is biased towards a compressive strategy, they will have to find a way to breathe in against that strategy at some point in time. And so that is the first compensatory strategy, is to try to pull the diaphragm down against the resistance. And that's what holds the ISA open wide.